Sacred Code is supernatural and cosmic. It bridges starseed origins, galactic contact, and remembrance. DNA activation, soul memory, psychic development, intuition, timeline shifting, and manifestation, ancient wisdom, modern consciousness, and real world embodiment. It's where the supernatural becomes natural again. It's not fantasy, not an escape, but as a powerful tool to be used, as a powerful truth to be understood. The reason you are called here is not because you're here to follow. You're here to remember who you are. Your soul carries a code. This space simply helps you unlock them safely, clearly, and powerfully. You're not broken, and you're not late. You're not imagining it. You're remembering. Welcome to the Sacred Code.
From her earliest memory, Samantha Liebker has been in contact with beings unseen by the physical eye. These encounters began in her childhood home, alive with poltergeist activity, and continued throughout her life. She's always carried a sense of greater purpose and has known that she is destined to share what she's seen. Her debut book offers deeply personal accounts of every paranormal experience that she has had to date, each one shattering the boundaries of known truth. Samantha is a fierce and devoted mother of two, a small business owner, and a wild-hearted nature enthusiast. She finds joy in all forms of art, studying wild edible plants, handcrafting natural skincare, and resting in the sun as birds sing across her countryside home. Welcome, Samantha. How are you?
Thank you for having me on. I'm great. I'm so excited to talk with both of you.
Yes, and we're excited to talk with you. I've waited quite a while for this. We've been, I found you via a post that you made about your book on Facebook. Right. And from that moment until this moment, and that was 8 months ago or so.
Yeah.
I really wanted to talk with you. So here we are. I finally get to meet you, and Mary gets to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you both.
Yes, nice to meet you. And congrats on the book, by the way.
Thanks. It's surreal. I'm still kind of in shock that it's finally here. So.
Well, big kudos to you for going through all that you've been through in your lifetime, because I know you've been having crazy things happen, experiences all your life.
Yeah.
And to be a young woman and say, you know what, I'm going to make the best of this, and I'm going to write a book about it so other people get what's going on. That takes a lot. So
yeah, it does. It's, it's not easy, to put yourself out there like that, even if, it's kind of normal in my life and my personal life. It's still it's a lot. It is a lot. And just to have gone over it all, while I was writing, it was so much just to bring that all back to the surface, everything that I'd ever been through. So yeah, it's a lot, but I'm so glad that I can, that I finally have my story out there, and that I can be a voice for people who, might not be ready or comfortable yet talking about this. And maybe this is the inspiration that they need to finally, be able to open up about things that they've seen too. So.
Right. And that's what it's all about, right, Mary?
That's right. What's the name? What's the name of your book?
Born Awakened, an Otherworldly True Story.
So what is your favorite story in that book?
I mean, my favorite couple of stories are probably my two first positive encounters. The first one would be when the few golden beings took me out of body when I was about a year or two old, and they taught me how to levitate down the staircase at the poltergeist house that I grew up in. And then another one of my favorite stories is another kind of more positive one, because a lot of the experiences I had growing up at the Britton House, which is the haunted house I grew up in, they were a lot of very difficult to deal with experiences. A lot of them, there was a lot of like malicious entities at that house. So that second really heavenly encounter when these two beings manifested above me while I was awake in bed one night. I was about 6 or 7 years old, and they took me to a cube-shaped UFO over the house. And that's another one that I really love to talk about. Those couple specifically from when I was younger, they just, it's like, even though those were one of my couple of my older experiences, they were so powerful that it was like, they're just as powerful as an experience I would have, 5 minutes ago or yesterday. So yeah, those are probably my favorite couple.
So a quick question. You said cube-shaped craft. Were you taken to that cube-shaped craft, or was it something you just saw?
I was taken inside.
Okay, it's just out of curiosity. At any time, did you, when you came in, could you describe any of the beings you came into contact with on that craft?
Yeah, so the two that took me there, there was a couple on the craft, and then there was the two that took me there. The two that took me there, sorry, were these two angelic looking women. They were smaller women, maybe 4 or 5 feet tall, and they had like brown wavy hair, big white wings. They had white gowns on, and they manifested above me in my bedroom, and they separated me out of my physical body and pulled my spiritual body out, and they carried me through the ceiling and the roof of the house and into the sky. And this happened while I was awake. I wasn't sleeping or anything like that. I was kind of like laying in bed, trying to get to sleep when they came into the room. But so they flew me up into the clouds, and that's when I saw the cube. And the cube was probably about the size of a house, and it was like this dark grayish color, like grayish blue steel color. And it wasn't moving, and it wasn't making any sound. And it was just there in the clouds. And so they carried me over to it. And when we got close to the side of it, the side of the whole cube like lowered its density. It looked like it kind of just dissolved so that we could pass through it. And then once we got inside, the other couple of beings that were there, they looked very similar to men, but like human men, but I knew that they were not human. And there were boxes scattered all over the floor in the UFO, and inside the cube, it was just one big room, like the size of just like if you didn't have any walls inside of a house. And everything was glowing with white light, the ceilings, the floors, the walls. And so these men were on the other side of the cube, the opposite side from where we came in. And that side was open too. And there was a craft hovering outside of that side of the cube that was mostly camouflaged. I could just see kind of like, it was like half transparent, kind of like heat waves over. I always say that, like heat waves over a car, how you can kind of like see that it's there. Like I could see the shape of it. I didn't know exactly what shape it was because it was just like the side of it was like hovering on the other side of the cube outside. And these two men were either carrying boxes into that other craft, or they were taking them out and putting them into the cube. I'm not sure if they were bringing them in or putting them out. But they didn't pay any attention to me, those two men. And like I said, I feel like I just understood that they weren't human men for some reason, even though they mostly resembled human men. And they were just wearing plain clothes, like shirts and pants, but very plain colors. Yeah. So those were the beings that were involved with that experience.
Very interesting. Wow.
Yeah, very. So you know that Mary is a regressionist.
Okay,
She
yeah.
works with MUFON. Have you ever been regressed with any of this?
No, no. And you know what? Ever since I've been learning a lot about like regression and things like that. Ever since I was writing, I was also like reading book after book after book. I think I soaked up like almost 30 books like over the course of writing. And so it's been on my mind, and I know that there's huge chunks of my childhood that I don't know what happened. I don't remember it. And there's also like all of these experiences that I remember. I know that there's a lot to them that I don't have like that access to right now, like in front and center, like that part of it I told you. I know that there was more. There had to have been. And same thing with so many of the other encounters I've had. So I definitely have, have thought about it.
Well, good.
Regression, it's a good way to get out of your own way and delve deeper into the subconscious mind. But
Yeah.
to be honest, I was genuinely asking about that cube shape because I had an experience with a cube shape, right?
Wow.
So since you said you went, I had to be curious enough to ask what they look like inside. So maybe I'd know what they look like. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was purely fish. Because I'm sorry.
When did you see the cube shaped UFO?
That would have been it would have been May 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. So I was just curious as to, obviously you have a much bigger connection, and it was just something that was, seen by me. So I just wanted to pick your brain and see what was inside. So thank you.
Well, I think that if anyone ever witnesses anything, that it's definitely not by accident, I think that if you see them, they are intentionally showing themselves to you and involving themselves with you. So I think that you are probably just as connected with that. I don't know what a cube shaped UFO means, but or if these different shapes and sizes mean anything, or if it's just like it doesn't really make a difference or matter, or if they do. It's interesting, how you think about all these different shapes of crafts and like how people have these different experiences on like the triangular shaped craft or the disc shaped craft, or just like the big balls of light, or do they have different functions? That's like, one of my questions. Or I don't know. But yeah, that's cool, because the only other person that I've ran into that has seen a cube shaped UFO is Whitley. And so now you're the second one that I've met that has seen one. So that's cool.
Well, see, and that's the good thing about regression work is
Yeah.
you could ask the subconscious, what is the difference? What is the point of the cube shape? You will get answered.
Right. And you could even find out what species this is.
Yeah, that would be
that's
cool.
What I want to know. I want to know what they are, who they are.
Yeah.
And they could be there, making contact with Mary as well.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Mary has a cabin, a house, but a cabin vacation place not too terribly far from where you live.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if that's where you had that sighting, Mary, but
that I did have a sighting there, but that one I can never really guarantee what I actually saw. It was 10 o'clock at night, and I had been driving all day, and I was really tired, and I had just pulled into to Luther. I pulled off the freeway off of 131, and so I wasn't going fast, and my daughter had seen it too. And when we looked up, we saw a purple orb, whatever, just shoot right across the top of us. So I know that area is active, but I can't guarantee. It could have been very well me being tired too and trying to stay awake, but she saw it too. I have no idea what we saw.
Well, then it probably wasn't you being tired.
Yeah.
Right.
No, Jazzy's honest about that stuff, and she was too young to fake anything. She's just like, What is that? I'm like, I have no idea. Let's just get to the cabin. Let's go. Barely catch up. But I think people probably see a lot more in the sky than they realize. They just kind of chalk it off to
Oh, yeah.
something. So you got to really be watching. Has all of your contact been positive?
All of my UFO contact has been positive. Yeah. I've had a lot of negative, like paranormal experiences, but all of the UFO related, like contact experiences, yeah, they've all been not necessarily like yippee and fun, but like for example, the most recent one was, I think it was just either a year or two ago. Actually, no, it was a year ago. It was in 2025. That I was taken on craft and something was being removed from me. And so it was very uncomfortable, but the beings that were with me were helping me. And they were my friends. They were there to help me and heal me and help, remove something. That's what I understood was going on, was something was being removed from me for my own good. So yeah, even though they've, they haven't always been like, it's always been good. Yeah. I've never had any kind of like horrible or horrifying experiences, abduction experiences. Like I know that some people have, but I think that we're dealing with many different kinds of beings. Because myself, I've encountered several different types of non-human beings. And so I know that, the ones, out in the UFOs that are intervening with people, we have to be dealing with many different types. And some probably don't have the best intentions. And I think that that's where these, bad encounters come from, or the freaky ones. Yeah.
So true. So true. You can't have all good in anything, right?
Right. Yep. Not even humans. So.
Well, especially not humans. Right.
Right.
Yeah. I think they're a little wiser than we are. Many of them, anyways.
Yeah.
So. Wow. My brain is just going. I'm wanting to get all these answers from you. So you say you've seen several different beings. Have you ever dealt with a mantis being?
I have not. No, but I've read a lot of other people's encounters, and it really, I'm just like, wow. That it's so wild, like because I know that, people are really seeing these, mantid beings, but no, I've never had any contact with them myself. I have with like Nordic beings, angelic looking beings. I've seen grays, and other types of strange entities and things like that. But and also this, I call her the little old lady. She showed up in my bedroom a couple years ago, and our remote ended up disappearing for 2 weeks straight right after she woke me up. And there she was on the floor, and she was like 2.5 or 3 feet tall, and she looked like she's on the cover of my book. She's like that little bald, doesn't necessarily she doesn't look super feminine, but she was just like a little bald dwarf, older, and yeah, so that's another type of being that I've encountered. And she didn't have I didn't feel any malicious intent from her. Because you know how like you come into contact with something, or you're standing face to face with another being, and you instantly know, you can read their energy, and you understand how, what their intention is. Especially if you had a lot of experiences, where you're really in tune with, understanding the energy of another being. And she didn't have a malicious intent. She was just kind of like there, just like a person, just like, any human it would feel to be in front of any human. So, but yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. And I think, that's across the board. I did paranormal work for 40 years. And I used to, when people would say, my house is haunted, I think I have a demon, because that was a big thing. I'd always ask, okay, so explain to me what you felt right before you had this encounter or something happened or you saw something. And 9 times out of the 10, they'd say, well, I didn't feel anything, but I was scared when I saw it or scared it
Mhm.
happened. If you don't feel anything, then it's not negative, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. When
like
it,
I said, you feel that.
oh yeah. Yeah. When it's a malicious entity with ill intent and it's there to harm you, you know. I mean, it is the feeling is undeniable. It is like I have a lot of experience with that in the house that I grew up in, and there was a lot of things that would come and go through the house, into the house, and leave because there was a portal in the family room downstairs that things would just come and go out of. And I think it also had to do something with the land before the house was built. But there was a lot of things that also had held territory in the house that were always there, whether it was in a certain room or a certain area of the house, that they were there to hurt you. You know, it's and it's without a question that
Right.
crippling, horrible feeling, that extremely heavy weight that comes over you that is just not good. And so yeah, if but I know what you mean. Like a lot of people, our natural response to something that totally shatters our understanding of reality can really, freak us out. So if it just because we're on edge or we're freaked out or we're like, oh my God, doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means
Right.
that it's unknown to us. And so maybe if you step back for a minute and you really think about it, okay, well, maybe it wasn't there to hurt me. Maybe it was just there, just because it was unknown or scary to me doesn't mean that it's, that it's bad. Because when it's bad, it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big difference. Right. We're totally on the same page there. So
Yeah.
can I ask you, Samantha, has anyone else in your family had experiences like this?
Yeah.
Those? Or?
My brother, he's about a year and a half younger than me. So he grew up with me at the Britton house and he had all of those experiences with me there. Not the contact experiences like with the UFO or the golden beings, but he's had his own UFO sightings that were separate from mine. So he's an experiencer. He's always been. And then my dad's side of the family, that line kind of goes back. Everybody's had their own share of whether it's a contact experience or paranormal experiences throughout their life or so it seems to run in the family. And I know that that's a thing that a lot of people notice is especially if they were kind of born into having just these constant experiences and just being immersed in this stuff, like at every angle and every aspect of it, as one of their parents also was, and one of their parents was for some reason. So it is in the family.
Very interesting. We find that a lot with a lot of the experiencers that we deal with, don't we, Mary?
I bet.
Almost all of them.
Are your daughters aware of your experiences?
Yeah. So I've so they're 10 and 7, and they've both been out of body, and my 10-year-old had a really really cool encounter with who we're pretty sure was my husband's mother, who had passed away years before this happened. So it was let me see, probably my youngest daughter is 7, so it was almost 7 years ago now, because it was right after my youngest was born. And my oldest had an encounter with okay, let me start over a little bit. So one night we were living in Ohio, and we were in this little apartment, and Mark woke up one night to go to the bathroom just after 3 in the morning, and Eliana's bedroom door was on the other side of the little hallway from our bedroom door, and the bathroom was in the middle. And so, in that old little apartment, like if you turn the light on in the bathroom, the fan also turned on, and you couldn't you had to turn the fan on, and it was so loud because it was just this old rickety fan. And it it shook the whole apartment when you turned the fan on. And so he would leave the light off, and so it was super quiet. And he was just he was in the bathroom, and Eliana's bedroom door was cracked open, and he started hearing a woman's voice wake up Eliana and start counting with her. And during that morning, I was sleeping in the other room with our newborn, my youngest, because he woke up those few mornings a week at like 4:30 in the morning to go to work really, really early. And so I didn't want Lily to wake up the newborn those mornings. And so I slept in the other room. And so he's like, why is she waking Eliana up at 3 a.m. to count to 10? So he gets up, and he is like standing on the outside of her door listening to this woman's voice counting with her. And they're both excited, and they keep counting from 1 to 10. And then he looks down the hallway into the other room, and he sees me sound asleep with Lily. And so he knows that it's not me. And then he listens more, and he hears this woman giggle, and it sounds just like his mom. And she had passed away, years before that. So that's an experience that my oldest had and Mark kind of had together. And then here at this house up in Everett, both of the kids have stepped out of body. Eliana has freely roamed the house out of body, and Lily, she said that one time, so they have like this little play tent that they set up in their room sometimes, like a camping tent, and they sleep in it once in a while. They'll like put all their blankets in there and have like a sleepover party in it, and she said that one night she sat up while she was in the tent, but instead of like getting up, she slipped out of her body, and she flew up into the air, and she was looking down at herself sitting up like frozen, and then her sister sleeping, and she was like looking around, and she was like, oh, I gotta go back. And so she like flew back into her body and re-entered her body and laid back down and went back to sleep. So and
Like
then my youngest, yeah, right, and she loves it. They love to talk about this stuff, especially since this is a normal thing for us to talk about, because this has been the biggest part of my life since I was born. I've always been, you can't always talk to everybody about this, but I've always had a couple people to talk about this. I've always been open to talking about it. And so the supernatural or the otherworldly or the paranormal, this is it's the biggest part of life. The physical world is the smallest. The material world is nothing compared to, what life really is. And so my kids, they know that. And and then my youngest, she's also, I think this was a few years ago, that she was saying that she would see this blue light come into her room, and then it would go under her blanket, and it kind of freaked her out. So I had to lay with her, until she fell asleep for a little while after that. Because she was like, it went under my blanket. It was this blue ball of light. But yeah, so they've had a couple experiences so far.
Very cool. So when you went to lay with her, did you ever see the blue ball of light?
Nope.
No?
I didn't.
Okay. I've actually had quite a few experiencers though say that they encountered that.
Okay.
It's not always blue, but I have heard blue. Have you, Mary? Seems like we've done
Blue, all sorts of colors. Yeah. Yeah.
right. But that
Like,
ball of
It's not
light.
on typical.
Like a little ball of light that comes into their room.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been white balls of light that have come into my bedroom to actually wake me up right before, like the last time. This was just so strange. So it was only maybe a month ago, and just this one night, I woke up. Someone woke me up, because I felt someone else's presence, like, hey, wake up. And so I woke up and I was wide awake and I sat up, and then I see this little ball of white light fly into the room and then fly back out. And then about 30 seconds later, my youngest Lily, she started getting upset. And it's like it came to woke me up right before, and she ended up getting sick. And it was just that night. And it was just me and her that felt really off that night. And so it was really weird because no one else in the house felt off. It was like all these weeks that went by now, and it was just that one day that me and her felt really off. And I don't know, it just makes me wonder, like, you know, like did something happen that we don't know about that made both of us feel like that woke her up like that, and that made her feel like that, and then it came to wake me up. But yeah, so I've seen other little balls of light and orbs and stuff, but I don't think I've ever seen a blue one myself.
Do you see that comment, Mary?
I
Can we
do. Let me
put that
see if
up?
I can, yeah. Let's see.
Lee says, I'm curious as to whether Samantha's school friends were aware of her experiences and how they handled it.
All right.
Good question, Lee.
Yeah, that's a good question. So not really. I did have a couple general conversations with friends as I grew up, kind of just about the paranormal and that my house was haunted, you know, and things like that. But I don't think I ever really like sat down with anybody and like totally told them about all these details and all the things that were really going on. I guess I kind of just stuck with my brother with that. And then my friends and my social life and my school life, it was just like, I don't know. I think I just totally kept it separate. I always just kept it totally separate from that. But yeah, it's so hard to find, you know, and maybe there was a friend that I had that, you know, went through things like this and they just didn't say anything either. But it is hard to find someone, especially when, you know, you're growing up, that you can really, really dive into this stuff with and, you know, open up about it with. But yeah, I didn't talk about it too much, but a little bit, but not too much. Yeah.
Makes sense. I get that. I grew up a little odd myself. And by the time I was probably 4 or 5, you don't talk about these things.
Yeah. You learn.
I mean, I thought it was normal, but when I found out it wasn't normal, yeah.
Right. That's the thing, is like, you think it's normal because it's like happening to you nonstop, all around you all the time. And then, yeah, you do find out that you mentioned something and people are like, you know, like, we don't talk about that, or you're crazy, or no, that doesn't exist, you know. And so you're like, okay, you know, I guess I'm just, you know, so yeah.
Yeah, boy, I'm really feeling like she needs a regression theory. I want to know
It
about these
sounds
balls
like
of light. But I also, you know, the angelic beings, going back to that, that really, that's really cool, because that's not something we hear a lot of. Or, I mean, honestly, have we had anybody that has been regressed that talked about that type of being?
I have regressed people. I've actually regressed one gentleman who actually went back to being like, I don't know if it's necessarily what you would call like an archangel type, but it was talking about, like, you know, the spiritual warfare and, you know, his role in it and the higher ups. So
Wow.
similar like that, you know, the balls of light and angelic beings, that the balls of light aren't so new, but like,
No.
yeah, I can't really think of anything other than archangels right off the top of my head, because I did another one but it was like Archangel Gabriel. So just, like an actual angelic
Wow.
being, because in my mind, those are two different things. I don't think so. So I have a question for you. Have you ever experienced anything with these orbs where you felt them like enter you?
No, I don't think that. I'm just trying to think to make sure, but I don't think that I've ever experienced that before, where an orb came and entered me. I don't think. But you talking about the regression, like it just real quick, it just made me think of like there's been so many times, especially over the past few years, that I have woken up to like either white or red light shining in my room. And I may or may not feel the need to get up and go look at what it is. And that's after like being woken up. So I know that there's so many things that I don't remember, like so many nights that something had to have happened, but, or the next, like this one time, I woke up from a really bright light coming into my room and we're just surrounded by the forest. And sorry, I'm getting off. Is that okay? Getting off into a unrelated little subject real quick. So yeah, we're adjacent to about 1,000 acres on a couple sides. And then the other side is just like across the dirt road, there's like a couple private owned woodsy houses. And so it's not like we have, cars driving by and shining, into our windows with their lights or nothing like that. There's nothing like that here. So when, a huge light comes and floods into the room, whether it's from the sliding door in the bedroom or from the hallway, there was one time that woke me up, and then I went and I got up out of bed and my heart was just pounding, but I wasn't afraid. I felt totally comfortable, very just curious. Like I just wanted to know, what is this? There was the bright white light was coming in through the sliding door that's like by the end of my bed. And as soon as I'm ready to grab the curtain and open it up, the light goes away. And I open it up and there's nothing there, but my heart is like thumping in my chest. Even though I'm not afraid. I don't feel bad or anything. I'm just like, it's like my subconscious knew something, that my conscious mind wasn't aware of. And as I was walking up to the window to go open it, in my mind, I had these words come in that were like, they are here. That's what I heard. And I felt like I was not alone. And I knew that I wasn't, because it was a presence that had woken me up to see the light shining in. And then I got up and then the next day was when I ended up having this like flashback vision in my third eye of a great gray owl face staring at me from about the same distance away as the sliding door is when I'm laying in bed. And so it was like the same distance away. And then the next thing I knew, it was right in my face, just like that. It was just in my face, this big owl. You guys, you probably know about the owl UFO connection. But yeah, so that's it. Just, yeah.
Yeah, at UFO connection.
Yeah, he told me. But yeah, so that was a really that instantly confirmed for me that, okay, like I already knew I saw something, but that was like, okay, now something really happened, because I had this like, kind of like a screen memory come back the next morning, and I knew that it had to do with what I saw the night before. But yeah, this stuff is just, it's so interesting, and it's so wild, and it's so bizarre. And it's like, the more you experience, the more questions you have. And I was actually I think I was reading a quote about that last night. Because, you would think that you have more experiences and you answer more questions, but you're actually left with more questions every time, you learn about something. So you become more ignorant the more knowledgeable you get. Well, that's exactly how this works. Is like, you know, sometimes when people first get into this and they're like, I'm going to figure it out. You know, I'm going to find the answers. No, you're not. It's going to get more and more and more mysterious the more you dive into it and the more you experience. It's just going to get like more and more incomprehensible.
Right. I totally agree. It's hard not to become totally obsessed with wanting those answers.
Yeah.
I know I am. But what do? You know, you keep, Mary and I talk a lot about going down rabbit holes because we do all the time. And something new will pop up and we go again. And I can't say we don't learn anything, but as you're saying, there's more things that we realize we don't know. And we want to. Yeah. And like the lights, the blue and the white light, that the experience with you and your daughter. The reason I would love to see you regressed on that is not because it's an uncommon thing or, you know, what are these lights? We kind of know. It's just, what was the link between you and your daughter? What happened that you both felt off, that she was seeing a light, you were seeing a light? So, more questions.
Yep, definitely one I want answered too.
So now you're married, you have these daughters, and you do some amazing things. I know you make soaps and all that kind of stuff, and I can't wait to see them and smell them. But how does your family, how does your husband handle all of this?
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. So he is very supportive about this stuff. And when we met around 10 years ago, he had a couple experiences, you know, of his own to share with me, a couple like paranormal experiences. And so, you know, we connected over that right away. And also like when we first started talking years ago, we were just like, we're going to lay everything out right now, you know, because like it's like if you can't, I couldn't imagine not being able to, you know, connect over this, or at least be able to talk about it with him. But no, we've been talking about, it's our favorite thing to talk about. It always has. You know, if we get really deep into conversation, it's over this stuff, you know, whether it's paranormal stuff or UFOs or, you know, experiences that we've had. And we've experienced a lot of things together over the past 10 years. Actually, I think the second 2/3 of my book is just the past 10 years. So that's like how much that we've experienced together as a family. Or, you know, or maybe I experienced something and then, but he was there, or, you know, so, but he's awesome about it. Yeah. We love to talk about this stuff. I'm lucky. So I know that's not, everyone doesn't always, you know, have that ability to.
Right. Yeah. It always breaks my heart when I have people come here that, you know, to our metaphysical store and say, you know, I'm afraid to tell my husband that, but this is what I've been dealing with, you know.
Yeah.
And they're experiencers, but they won't come out publicly because of a spouse. And that's really sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be very hard. And, you know, not everybody was, you know, like for me, I was an experiencer way before I met my husband now. And so I was able to talk to him about it beforehand and make sure like, hey, you know, this is who I am. But sometimes people have been married for 20 years and then this stuff just starts rolling into their life all of a sudden. And it's like, you know, neither one of them were really, might not have even believed in anything like this until all of a sudden one of them is just flooded. This stuff just comes flooding into their life. And so, you know, that's something that might make it really hard too, is for them to be able to talk to their spouse about it, is because it just suddenly starts happening to them, you know, later in life, or, Yeah. So but it's got to be. I definitely feel for people who, they know that, their family or their friends or their coworkers or, that they wouldn't really accept, talking about this kind of stuff. But that's something that, I know that both of you and also me, that's one reason why we're doing this is because we have to change that. It's like one of my biggest missions is working on making this conversation normal because it should be. Oh, I see that comment.
Well,
Yay. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, it's so important to make it normal because there are a lot of people out there that are really holding this stuff in, and sometimes some of them have been holding it in for a lifetime and it's just destroying them on the inside, until they can maybe one day open up about it. I mean, I couldn't imagine not being able to talk about this stuff. I don't know what I would do.
mhm.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's like a huge part, my heart like really cries out to people that, it's like definitely one of my biggest reasons and my biggest drives to keep talking and to keep, opening up about this stuff and just be like, no, there's nothing abnormal about talking about this. There's nothing wrong with it, and it shouldn't mess with anybody's reputation as a professional or anything like that, because this is reality and people need to wake up, who don't think so.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And, even if people don't believe, they really don't have the right to give those who do a hard time. We've seen
Right.
so many people who, like you said, spend a lifetime not talking, holding it in, thinking there was something wrong with them, being afraid to
Yeah.
voice what they were going through. And that's why we have the Voices of Contact. That's, Mary was downloaded with that information. The show had to come out. It just had to. The Mission UFO Contact event that we do in September, that's why it had to happen and has to happen every year, because we need to normalize this so people can talk about it. We can't make sense of it as long as we're hiding it.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that's why I was so excited to see you come out, Samantha, because many of us are over 50 who are finally talking.
Yeah.
And to see a brilliant young woman who is very normal, raising a family, doing, just living her life and talking about your experiences, that's going to hit people different than seeing this crazy woman in her 60s saying, oh yeah, this happened. They need to know. It's across the board. It really is. So
It is.
thank you for doing. And if I can, I'd also like to mention that you will be at Michigan UFO Contact in September. You'll have a table there. You'll be selling books, right? And maybe some of your other things.
Yes. I'm so excited.
Yes. And
thank you so much for having me be a part of it. I'm so excited. I'm like counting down the weeks until September.
We are too. Now, Mary has Ascension Con coming up a week from Friday.
Okay.
Ooh, it's getting close. That's down in Hastings.
So, okay.
Yeah, you could totally come. It's at the historical Charlton Park in Hastings. It's free to the public. There's some really great speakers. We have the insider events.
Okay.
Tickets, like we're doing a Bigfoot hunt. You never know. You might have contact with Bigfoot. It sounds to me like you connect with interdimensional, so that's possible. But
I've had an encounter with Bigfoot already.
I was going to ask. See, there it is. Yep. So you should come
That's
next week.
Yeah, I don't know if I can, but I would love to though. Hastings is that southwest of Lansing?
Yeah, it's
Or
between
is that
Lansing and Grand Rapids.
okay? Because I thought that town rang a bell because I think I had a friend that used to live there, like when I was in high school in Hastings. And yeah, so no, that's awesome. So you guys, do you do it every year?
This is the first year.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's awesome. And you're
In,
sorry. Yeah, that's great. And it's called Ascension Con.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
We are ascending.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be doing
Yeah, that's definitely
DNA
what's happening.
activation and CE5.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there will be a lot going on. Heather Taddy's going to be
That's
there.
awesome.
It's going to be there. Yeah. It's going to be a very
That's
cool
going to be
event.
great.
Yeah. But, oh, you know, I just glanced down at the clock and went, how did that happen? I think I have a
Yeah.
missing hour. I have missing time.
Yeah, miss a time.
This has gone so fast.
Yeah, I can't believe it's already been. Yeah.
Yeah. We're like almost an hour. So where do you do other events or what do you have going on, Samantha?
So I have my first book event a couple weeks before the Michigan UFO Con. It's a Cadillac. It's in Cadillac. And they have it's their third annual like local Michigan author book fest. And it's just at like the it's at the I think it's called the Marketplace, where they have their farmers market, and it's like this kind of like a pavilion. So they're going to have over 50 local Michigan authors there with their tables and books. And so that'll be the first one that I'm doing since I publish. And then a couple weeks after that at the Michigan UFO Con, that'll be the second one I'm doing for the book related. But that'll be the first one that's like UFO themed. So I'm really, really excited about that because I'm so excited to meet you in person, to meet both of you in person, and to meet all these other people, that are involved with this in the state of Michigan, like in person, and be able to talk to all of you. I'm so excited. I'm really, really excited.
Wonderful. Well, we can't wait. Can't wait to get you there. Mary always does a live regression. We don't know who she's going to regress
Oh,
live.
you know what? I didn't even think about that. Interesting. Like, what? Huh?
So
Yeah.
how do you do it? Like, what's the like process?
A regression is really just a glorified guided meditation. We get you relaxed, and then once you're in that state, you just go through your experience and then answer questions. That's all it is.
Okay.
Very simple.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I've been starting to. I mean, I've only had a chance to maybe I think 5 or 6 times so far to meditate. So I've been trying to get into meditation. It's hard to find like a quiet hour or two where I'm actually like not, it's got to be when the kids are sleeping. So it's just got to be in the middle of the night, like that I can actually meditate. But yeah, so I have probably about 5 or 6 times now, but I love it. And so that sounds awesome. Because like, I know how that, and I don't know if it's just because I've had my experiences that I can so the first time I ever meditated, that was not much happened. I got into a relaxed state. I was very relaxed, and maybe I was, just seeing a couple little things, but nothing significant. But then as soon as the second time came around, I basically went into that, like, you know, that Zen where I'm experiencing kind of both sides at once. I'm kind of in that trance, like, you know, very in tune with, you know, everything around you and being able to see things and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so that would be cool if you were, you know, if I was like in that state and then all at the same time, you know, having like someone, you know, kind of guide like a regression kind of like to try and pull the things forward because they're there somewhere. And
Yep.
there's so much of it. It's definitely something that like that will be one of my next goals, you know, sometime in the near future to kind of that's one reason I started meditating too, is because I know that I can figure out how to access things, you know, that are kind of buried away through meditation. And so that's one of my goals of meditating too, is you know, being able to access some of that stuff. What was I saying? I kind of lost track of what I was saying, but but no, that sounds awesome.
The way you describe that meditation, where you're in both places at the same time, that's exactly what regression is. As you go through that experience and you're in that place, but your subconscious is going through it and letting you delve deeper
Yeah.
into what really happened.
Nice.
We'll have to work on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yes. Yes. Well, I'm so glad you agreed to be on with us. I wish you all the best with your book. I hope it's selling like hotcakes. And if it hasn't yet, let's get it selling like hotcakes because everybody needs this information. Really do.
Yeah.
We are in a new age. You know, we're in the age of Aquarius now, and things are different. Dimensions are different. We're tapping into other dimensions easier and easier all the time. And if people don't kind of go along with this or at least accept it, they're not going to be able to handle it. So,
yeah.
Keep getting
it is important. Yeah, because it's going to be a lot, and it's going to become more and more undeniable. And I say that a couple times throughout my book too. Is like, the veil is thinning. It really is, and we need to. There is a huge. I feel like there's kind of like these waves of awakenings that are happening right now too, which is really cool. So yeah, but yeah, there's something special about this time right now that we're stepping into. I know a lot of people can feel it. And every time I talk to somebody about this, they're like, yep, I feel it too, you know? So yeah, there's a lot happening right now, and it's really important that we, get this information out there and tell our stories so we can, you know, help other people along.
That's the whole thing, right, Mary?
That's right. Well, that's all we have for today. Like, that was fabulous.
Yes.
I'm probably going to go down rabbit holes now, searching for but thank you. And thanks to everyone out there.
Thank you all. We love you all. Thank you, Samantha. You've been great.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.